Lord of the Rings isn't just a fantasy, it's the blueprint. And by the end of this video, you will see why no story has ever truly measured up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Extended Edition, a show where two nerds journey deep into Middle Earth and beyond. I'm Nick.
And I'm Justin. The things that fans of Lord of the Rings have debated for years, the things that are hot button issues, we kind of want to talk about that because we'll come back to the storytelling for sure and why it's the gold standard. But there's some things about Lord of the Rings that no one could ever agree on, and it was never clarified.
Are you suggesting some hot takes here? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, I am suggesting hot takes.
Oh, okay. That's exciting. Oh.
Well, I'm going to start you off with a pretty simple one. Was Boromir totally justified in trying to take the ring? Or was it just pure evil in his heart from Sauron's corruption?
Wow. Okay, that is really fascinating. I think it depends. We have to take a step back and understand who Boromir was as a character. Now, I don't go too deep with it because Boromir's a fascinating character. He's a tragic character, and he definitely deserves his own episode of deep dive, which we will do in a future episode. So look forward to that. But I would say Boromir is a man of Gondor. His total ambition is only to simply protect his people, to protect his family, to, at the end of the day, save Gondor from the continuous, he literally says in the book, like continuous onslaughts of Mordor. So you can understand his ambitions to simply protect his people. But Boromir is a noble person.
Well, what are we thinking when you say ambition? And I'm just curious here, like his ambition to protect his people. I think, fun fact, that it wasn't ambition. I think if you look at Aragorn's quote from the last movie, whenever he's giving his speech in front of the Black Gate, the same fear that would take the heart of me, right? I think that is one of the most powerful lines in the whole show, in the whole franchise, because the whole time they're getting run down and chased around and beat by these orcs. And I think that Boromir, as noble and as brave and courageous as he was, had that deep-rooted fear that it was never going to be enough. It was never going to stop. And that fear is what actually led him to want to take the ring. And it wasn't like, it had nothing against Frodo. It had what you said, like it was all about protecting his people, his father, his younger brother. And I think that everything that led to that was rooted in fear, which we know Sauron like feeds off of, right? Like he manipulates that. So I think that
absolutely
that's my opinion on like why he did it. It was just a deep rooted fear that, well, you know how like waves of fear and like depression will come over people at like in an instant. Yeah. And I think that that's really what happened to him. Like he was just thinking about, man, I need to save my people. Is destroying the ring the right play? And he was divided, and that division alone was enough to send him off the rails, even with the purest of intentions. And I think Aragorn noticed that too, which is why he respected him, for turning it back around and then saving the hobbits and sacrificing himself for them.
No, he's absolute. I absolutely agree with that. I don't. So to say he's necessarily bad, I think his intentions were correct. I think the hopes and desires, and even if it's out of fear to protect his people, that's noble. He wanted to save his people. He wanted to save his family. That's respectable. But if we're talking about the very action of taking the ring, he was not justified. He was not justified. And I think the audience, I think we all know that and understand that. Because Sauron wanted him to take the ring. Because as strong as Boromir was, he was tainted by his pride and desperation. And his fear as well, as you put it.
So I have another one here for you. Like that's just it kind of follows on the same path. Thinking about trying to take the ring from the hobbits. Do you think that this is you can justify it however you want? I'm really excited to ask you this question because it's one that I never really thought about until doing research for this video. Do you think
Mm-hmm.
the Fellowship of the Ring, not the movie, not the book, the actual concept of them coming together, a group of friends to go to Mordor to destroy the ring, to be completely fair, they probably would have done better and had less tragedy if they would have just sent the group of hobbits to Mordor. Because man flesh and elf and dwarf orcs know that smell. They don't know hobbits.
Yeah.
And hobbits are also significantly stealthier. So send just Gandalf as a guide and the hobbits. The men, everything else, completely unnecessary. And all that did was lead to them going into Moria, which was a bad choice. It led to all of these choices that ended in tragedy. I mean, it comes full circle, but you know what I mean? Like, do you think it was a bad idea? Because that's something I never thought about really. I just kind of always let it ride. But realistically, looking at it, it's like, man, could they have gotten away with it a lot stealthier? They're hobbits. They can literally transform into a rock with a cloak. Their elven cloaks were insane. And
Well, that is interesting because I never really stopped and that's a very interesting question. I never really thought that. Instinctively, I want to say no because one thing we do know, Aragorn is the greatest tracker in Middle Earth. He knows those lands better than anyone in Middle Earth. His guidance, his leadership was incredibly important. It's one thing to be stealthy, but if you don't know where you're going, then because I mean Frodo,
well, then
all the
take
hobbits.
Gandalf out and add Aragon, just him, to guide them through the wilderness, the wilds, because he is a ranger. He knows the back paths to avoid
Mm-hmm.
danger.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? Actually, thinking about that, why was Gandalf leading them when Aragon has traveled the entire map and knows every back road and every hidden path forever?
Well, from what I well, because they all leaned on his wisdom. He was the guide. He was the one that made the decisions. They really leaned on his wisdom, his knowledge, his expertise, his guidance. He is a Maya. Let's not forget that, and he is a wizard. So I think that's where it is. Like he was
He
just.
would have killed
I mean, I think it,
hundreds of dragons.
yeah. Yeah. So I think at the end of the day it comes down to I guess sure you can sort of make little pinpoint like little arguments here and there, but at the end of the day each character provided essential qualities that played a crucial part at one point or another played a crucial part in the fellowship and their success or failures in some cases. Um,
Yeah, I agree with
and
that 100%. I mean, like from a storytelling perspective, it's a beautiful story. Obviously, it's what the whole thing's about. But just
yeah,
from a hot
yeah.
take perspective, could
No,
you could
that's a
could they
very
have snuck away with it? You know?
yeah. No, I never ever had anyone ever ask that. I
Yeah,
never even
I've
thought
never
of that
thought of that
before. So
question ever, man. And it like kind of
and
blew my mind. And I was like, huh, what do I have to know what Nick thinks? And apparently,
yeah.
what you think is it should be as the story is written. Thank you for your hot take. No, I think it would just works, man. Like Todd
Hey
Howard
man,
with Skyrim, right? It just
hey,
works.
yeah. Well, I mean, Tolkien was a smart guy. I'm sure he knew what he was doing.
Yeah,
Who am I? I can't,
obviously he knows better than we do. But from
Yeah,
from
yeah,
a if you were the hobbits and you were like go with these guys, fight a lot of orcs, probably get killed, or we sneak off with Aragon in the night, and just make our way there in like 6 months without any conflict, and
yeah.
I mean obviously that changes the whole narrative of the story because they have to
Yeah,
split
yeah,
up for Aragon to
yeah,
realize the man that he was born to be, right? Like that's the whole
yeah,
purpose of the split up. And it's not that they couldn't have made it together. But yeah, I would have followed you to the end, right? But it had to be done to create these diverging stories that come together at the end, which is a beautiful way
yeah,
to tell a story. And every show and everything you've ever read since
yeah.
then has followed that narrative. They give you multiple character perspectives, which I think is a beautiful way to tell a story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just saying, I think that it could have been done. But also, while we're on that,
With a lot of plot armor.
yeah, a lot of plot armor.
A
It,
lot of plot armor, maybe.
yeah, I mean, I think so. But going off of that and then really bringing it back to the gold standard and why Lord of the Rings is the way that it is, I think that we.
Hold on. Wait a minute, mister. I got one for you. I got a
What do you
hot
got?
take for you. Now, before, because this one, I find really interesting, and I want to know what you think, because
Hit me
a
with it.
lot of people yeah, a lot of people dismiss this character, but I think he's really fascinating, and it is really a hot, and it's, some people, kind of shoo him, but do you think Gollum is a really well written character? Would you even say he's like one of the best written characters? Or what do you think of Gollum or Smeagol? What do you think about that?
Thinking hard about this one. Gollum
Yeah.
being the best written character. I
Well,
it
let me say that. Let me specify a little bit more just to help the conversation a little bit. Let me add in modern cinema. Let me just because to say he's the best written character, that's pretty broad.
well,
So let's just say in the last 20 years, what do you think?
when it comes to him being written really well, I think that Tolkien really took a big uh, leap of faith with the character by leaving so much to the interpretation, right? Because the most important details are a lot of the times what you don't say about a character, the things that are left to the imagination.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that
Mm,
that
mm,
is kind
mm.
of what he did with Gollum. We got a little bit of his backstory, and we got bits and pieces scattered here and there, but there's no
Yeah.
like actual full linear. There's missing years. There's all of these things where he was doing whatever he was doing down in the caves and whatnot. But I think that
Maybe in a couple years,
yeah,
a movie.
I think that um as far as how he was written, he's an interesting character. Do I think he's the best? I'll give you a hot take on that. No. I think that, like some of the best stories told recently have been have you ever seen the movie Hereditary?
Yes, I have actually.
That is a
Yes, I have.
that is a horrifying movie. And it's
Yeah.
psychological as hell and like those characters, right? And things like that. So it's hard for me to say that Gollum's now obviously he had a 3 movie span to like flesh it out and then in multiple books. Um but there are some really interesting characters in modern cinema nowadays, and the storytelling, especially when you find something fresh that's not just a rehashed video from the past, right? Like The Cabin on the Left or whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
those kind of movies and things like that. They're a dime a dozen. But when you do get one of those gems, um, what was the Adam Sandler movie that he won the Oscar for, right? Uncut Gems or something like that. Man, there's a lot of good characters in modern cinema. For me to
Yeah.
say that Gollum
Yeah.
was the best, but
Yeah.
he was really well
He's
done. But to say
yeah.
the best is hard for me to do, based off of every.
Mm.
I'm a big consumer of modern media.
Well, I will just add this. I think that Gollum Smeagol is hands down. Is he the best? Meh. But I will give this to him. He is absolutely at least one of the best, without a doubt, one of the best written, just interesting, fascinating characters. Just because of all the different themes and analogies that he represents, the duality between Gollum and Smeagol is just terrifying. It's
Yeah.
chilling.
Well, have you
You have
seen the
those
Have
constant
you
back.
seen the movie Split? Whenever he has the
Oh
24 personalities in him.
no,
Yeah,
No.
like that.
And,
You know.
he's also funny. He's also funny. He's like he also has like a comedic element to him. Remember the conversation back and forth.
Oh yeah, I think
You
that he's a
you don't have any friends.
yeah, I think he's really well done, and I would probably
Yeah.
place him in my top 20. I was
No.
gonna say top 10, but when it comes to top 20, I would
Yeah.
say he definitely fits in there somewhere. Because top 10, man, there are some amazing actors. Andy Serkis, who played Gollum, is an amazing actor, and he's done a lot of work since
Yeah.
then. And the
It was a
thing,
masterclass performance
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, absolutely, and all the motion capture and everything was insane that he had to do. But I think that like there are like a lot of things nowadays that
Yeah.
could compare or even be better than Gollum as a character in general, because you're comparing
Yeah.
the entirety of cinema to one character, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to say yes he's the best, because honestly I don't think there is a best. It's completely subjective, and
Yeah,
you know,
super fair,
yeah.
super fair. I think he belongs he's definitely in the conversation. He's definitely one of the better ones. Um, I just think there's so many different themes and things. Like for give you one example, Gollum absolutely is a symbol of addiction and obsession. The ring being this addiction. Gollum's language, behavior, and someone who's caught in a grip of addiction, obsession, withdrawal, manipulation, self delusion. You have all those interesting things, and you have his relationship with Frodo. Is he gonna kill Frodo? Is he gonna take the ring back? But he loves Frodo. He doesn't want to do that. So there's also that internal debate. What is he gonna do? He's a big mystery. You don't know what he's gonna do, and that's what makes him so fascinating. You know. Then there's the relationship with Sam. That entire dynamic. Then there's his
But just
past.
gaslighting Sam constantly.
Yes.
He-
Gaslighting the
yeah,
shit out of Sam.
he invented the term gaslight, man. Look at the
Oh,
crumsies, you know.
he
Yeah,
did it.
yeah.
But, and
Hey,
then you have the psychology.
hold on, hit me before we move on. Hit me with your best Gollum impression right now. Get me with it.
Oh, stupid fat hobbit. I don't know.
Man, I wish I knew the lyrics to his song.
Trixies.
Yeah, I wish
Trixies.
I knew.
Stupses.
Don't follow the lights. or the hobbits goes down to join the dead, or whatever the hell he said.
wait, why he's got a country accent?
the dead.
A redneck Smeagol. He gonna damn stupid five. He gonna damn them waters.
My cousin
He gonna
said
down
you
on
don't
it.
want to look at them lights.
Shut up, Smeagol. All right. I do.
Yeah.
Back where you came from. All right, nerdlets, if you enjoyed that content, then that's all we do here on Extended Edition. So feel free to join the fellowship and send ideas by leaving comments down below.
The road goes ever on, and our journey through Middle Earth is just beginning.